When we talk about mathematics, it's not just about numbers. It's also about understanding the relationships between these numbers, and that's where variables and algebraic expressions come in. If you've ever seen a mathematical equation, you're likely familiar with variables. Variables are symbols, often represented by letters, that can stand for an unknown or unspecified value. Next, let's talk about algebraic expressions. These are mathematical phrases that contain variables, numbers, and operators. But why stop at simple expressions? You can have more complex expressions, involving multiple variables and operators. Algebraic expressions also form the cornerstone of algebraic equations. An equation is essentially a statement that two algebraic expressions are equal. Understanding variables and algebraic expressions can help in various disciplines beyond pure mathematics, like physics, engineering, economics, and even in everyday problem solving. It's also worth noting that variables are not just limited to numerical values. In more advanced math, variables can represent vectors, matrices, functions, and even other abstract mathematical structures. Alright, let's talk about the meat and potatoes of algebra, specifically focusing on solving basic equations and inequalities. First up, basic equations. You've seen these before, where you have an expression set equal to a number or another expression. But what if you're working with fractions or decimals? Let's say you have an equation like x divided by 2 equals 4. Now, let's shift gears and talk about inequalities. Inequalities are like equations, but instead of an equal sign, you have less than or equal to, greater than or equal to. For those who've already dipped their toes into advanced algebra, you may have heard about linear inequalities in two variables. Another fascinating point about inequalities is that they're immensely useful in real-world applications like economics and operations research. Finally, let's touch on systems of equations and inequalities. These are sets of more than one equation or inequality that are solved together. Alright, let's dive deep into polynomials today, dissecting everything from their degrees to their individual terms and their defining properties. First off, what is a polynomial? In the simplest terms, a polynomial is a mathematical expression involving a sum of powers in one or more variables multiplied by coefficients. Next, let's talk about coefficients. These are the numbers in front of the variables. Alright, on to properties. Polynomials can be added, subtracted, and multiplied, but division is a bit tricky. Speaking of usefulness, let's not forget about polynomial equations. These are equations where one polynomial is set equal to another or to a number. And while we're on the subject of real-world application, polynomials appear almost everywhere. They model everything from natural phenomena to financial trends.